I convey my heartfelt greetings to all viewers. I am Ritoshankho Haldar from class 10 of Future James Academy. Today I am going to present a brief discussion about the tribal uprisings against the British colonial rule in India. The British ruled India for 190 years from 1757 to 1947. They faced resentment and rebellion from people of all sections of our country. Tribal communities constituted a considerable amount of the rebel force. Their bravery, willingness to fight and sacrifice their life for their homeland are what makes us remember them so many years later. India has a large tribal population. Many tribal communities like the Santals, Mundas, Kols, Bhils, Gonds, Bakarwals live in various parts of the country. Their uprisings form a sizable and significant part of the Indian resistance towards the British. The tribals revolted against the then government due to various reasons. The permanent settlement on zamindari system was introduced by the East India Company in India. The land was sold to zamindars who would collect revenue from the cultivators and pay it to the company. This enraged the tribals who had lost the right to their own land. Many tribal communities depended on forest products for their livelihood. When the British banned hunting gathering for Indians, many of them lost their sources of livelihood. The land that once belonged to the tribals were captured and sold to non-tribal landowners, which reduced the land available to tribals. A forest department was set up in 1864 by the government, mainly to control the rich resources of the Indian forests. Forest Acts declared many forests as reserved or protected, where common people were not allowed to enter. This caused a lot of livelihood loss for the tribals. Moreover, the Christian missionaries tried to convert the tribal people to Christianity, which also led to a social upheaval in the tribal society, and this was also resented by them as they considered the work of the missionaries as an extension for colonization. These reasons, along with the heavy burden of taxation and the introduction of outsiders in the land of the tribals, such as tax collectors, led to a growth of discontent among the tribal communities, which sparked the revolts. The tribal uprisings in India can be broadly grouped into three phases. The first phase, lasting from 1795 to 1860, happened at the same time of the British Empire's emergence, growth, and establishment. The top class of the tribal society, led by the traditional group, whose privileges had been curtailed by the colonialism in India, produced the leadership. Major tribal uprisings in this phase were the Kols uprising, Santhal uprising, Khond uprising, and early Munda uprising. The second phase, lasting from 1860 to 1920, includes the Koya rebellion and the Birsa Munda led Munda uprising. The third phase lasts from 1920 to 1947. It comprises of the Chenchu tribal movement, the Rampa rebellion, and the Tanabhagat movement. Some major tribal uprisings were the Santhal rebellion, which started on June 30, 1855, when over 10,000 Santhals were mobilized by their leaders, Kanho Murmu, Chand Murmu, Bhairab Murmu, and Siddhu Murmu, to revolt against the East Indian Company over the oppression by revenue officials, zamindars, and corrupt moneylenders. The British defeated the Santhals using modern firearms and war elephants in decisive action in which both Siddhu and Kanho died. The Paikas, a class of military retainers traditionally recruited by the kings of Odisha, revolted against the British colonial rules, mainly over being dispossessed of their landholdings in 1837. In the run-up to the revolt, the British had dethroned and exiled the Kudra king in 1803 and then started introducing new revenue settlements. This is often regarded as the original First War of Independence and came to be known as the Paika Rebellion. The Rampa Rebellion in the Gudam hills of Andhra Pradesh had an interesting figure as their leader. Alluri Sitharam Raju, the leader of the movement, believed in every principle of Mahatma Gandhi except non-violence. He claimed that he had supernatural powers to predict the future and even survive gunshots. He persuaded people to give up drinking and led a militant guerrilla warfare against the British. Raju was captured and executed in May 1924. Some important figures of the tribal uprising were Birsa Munda, who led a tribal religious movement in the late 19th century, Sahid Veer Narayan Singh, who looted traders' grain stocks and distributed them amongst the poor after the 1856 famine, Rani Gaidinliu, who was a Naga spiritual and political leader who led a revolt against the British rule in India. Though these rebellions apparently failed, they formed an important part of the legacy of the armed revolution against the British in India. We still remember with great reverence the valor of these indigenous people and their leaders who could stand against the British tyranny, banking on their courage and the love for their cultural community.